Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. Today I wanted to do somewhat of an update to a video I did like 6 years ago. And this is Dr. Sarno's 12 Daily Reminders. And that's exactly what I was following back when I was going through this. You know, for much of my journey, I was going through it well before the internet. And I was using Dr. Sarno's books, maybe one or two others, and not much was available. And the internet was not a big thing when I first got into this. So before I start, smile, relax, drop the shoulders, hand on your heart, slow your breath, slow your thinking, breathe in the calm and the clarity, exhale the chaos and the doubt. So, Dr. Sarno's 12 Daily Reminders, this was something he wrote about in his books a long time ago. And I wrote them down, I carried them on an index card in my pocket, and I would recite them to myself all the time as reminders as to what was going on. So here they are, along with some of my thoughts regarding these. So the pain is due to TMS, and for those people who don't know what that is, that was Sarno's term for this, tension myositis syndrome. He then later called it tension myoneural syndrome. Myositis means muscle. Myoneural also means it involves the nerves. Towards the end of the career, it was the mind-body syndrome, TMS. The acronyms don't matter so much, but basically it means pain or symptoms created by the brain. And I call it perceived danger pain, and I'll get to that a little bit later. The direct reason, reminder number 2, the direct reason for the pain is mild oxygen deprivation. That was Dr. Sarno's theory that he put out decades ago. Now, I will say, none of the current practitioners, medical doctors practicing clinically, researchers, scientists, are not talking about oxygen deprivation as the primary mechanism of what is going on. I don't believe it was ever truly proven scientifically that oxygen deprivation was the cause of the pain. So I'm going to encourage you to take that off the table because some people believe that deep breathing and all these things can help improve oxygenation. And I don't believe that's the case, nor have I heard people saying, I upped my oxygen and my pain went away. I don't think that's the case at all. So let's take that off the table. 12 Daily Reminders, number 3. TMS is a harmless condition caused by my repressed emotions. Again, that was Dr. Sarno's theory. Now, what he did say was the repressed emotions were perceived by the brain as too scary, dangerous, overwhelming. So the brain created a distraction with something physical like pain to distract us from these unacceptable, dangerous emotions. Now, Sarno is right. That very well happens quite frequently. And if we look at many of the histories of people who have experienced this, very often these people had overwhelming stress, chaos, which created a lot of emotions, somewhat overwhelming, and their brain turned on symptoms or pains. So that definitely happens. Now, what I've done is I've expanded it a little bit. Sarno's right. He's the original guy, and he's right, and I give him all the credit for my success in getting pain-free myself, but also I give him credit for what I'm doing now, which is just looking for new ways of explaining this stuff. I fully encompass what he talked about as repressed emotions are part of it, but I don't think it's all of it. I believe there are other perceived dangers which are highly relevant to the brain either creating symptoms or keeping them going. And if you look in the description below, look for a recent video of mine of 15 common perceived dangers that either turn on or keep symptoms persistent. So there should be a link there, but if not, search YouTube, Pain Free You, and then numbers 1, 5. Okay? So, the principal emotion is my repressed anger. And Sarno even commented that rage. Now, I recently did a video on rage as well. So if you scroll back a couple of weeks, you may find it. But anger and rage, because for many, rage is an unacceptable, overwhelming, dangerous emotion. So, number 5, TMS exists only to distract my attention from my emotions. Okay? Again, the distraction theory, because Sarno theorized the brain was perceiving the emotions as dangerous, so pay attention to this pain so those emotions can get back to being repressed. Since my back, or replace it with whatever pain you've got, is basically normal, there is nothing to fear. Absolutely. Sarno called these normal abnormalities. So even if you have a X-ray or imaging study or an MRI that says, look, bulging or herniated disc, what he proved beyond a doubt was those are normal abnormalities. And if you look at a certain study, I've put it in my book, when they did imaging studies of people, 100 people with no evidence or history of back pain, 2/3 of them, at my age, 60 years old, 2/3 of them had bulges and herniations at one or more level. So that's some scientific backing to the concept of normal abnormalities. So therefore, physical activity is not dangerous. Even if it hurts, you are not going to harm yourself. And as I've said many times, I'll repeat it here, pain is not a reliable indicator of the condition of the body. But it is a very reliable indicator that your brain is perceiving danger and turning on the warning to say, hey, be careful. All right? So, I must resume all normal physical activity. So what he's saying is, start moving again. Normal. He's not saying go run a marathon tomorrow. What he's saying is do normal things. Get up, go to the bathroom, go to the kitchen, maybe take a walk, go to the grocery store. These things are not harmful or dangerous because TMS is a false alarm. It's not evidence that your body is damaged, right? After I get through this, I'll go through a couple of resources with you to help you out with this. So number 9, I will not be concerned or intimidated by the pain. Again, false alarm, not real damage, okay? I will shift my attention from pain to the emotional issues, all right? And clarity. It could be emotions, but it may also be a perception of danger about something else. So in my case, yes, emotions, stress, overwhelming pressure as a young adult with a young child are what started my symptoms. And I write about that in my book, if you want to see the full story. But after a while, the perception of danger was, I got a bad back and sitting for too long, or getting up after I sat, or bending over, or a whole variety of things surrounding my back, shoveling the snow, cutting the lawn, weed whacking, sweeping the house, whatever it may be. The perception of danger shifted from the initial onset based on the emotional and stress to, I have a bad back. And then it became a self-perpetuating loop. Fear of the pain, fear of hurting it, because I was bending, I was moving, I was doing whatever, kept it going, right? So I will not be concerned or intimidated by the pain, and I will shift my attention from the pain to my emotional issues, clarity that I'm not broken, and I can teach the brain that I'm not broken or damaged or in harm's way. I intend to be in control, not my subconscious mind. Now, what we want to do here is, people say, well, we don't have access to the subconscious. No, but through the conscious, we can take what is conscious and make it subconscious. Through what? Through what we repeat. So the brain eventually accepts what we What is our dominant thought, our dominant belief system? But if you're going back and forth, I think I have a body problem. No, it's TMS. It's a body problem. No, it's TMS. The brain's not going to know what to believe. So we want to get consistent with our messages of safety, that we're actually okay. So look, sometimes it is. When we have, or if I get a symptom, I'm not having any chronic symptoms for well over a decade. But if I get a symptom, first thing I'll do is say, I know what that is. Call it out for what it is. TMS, perceived danger, pain. I call it out. Then I check in. What's going on in my life? Right? My biggest example was my mom's stroke. When she had a stroke, I had about 10 days of back pain, sciatica. I got crooked again. It was wild. But I knew exactly what it was, and I was unconcerned by the pain. I was much more concerned with being by my mom's side and advocating for her health along with my brother and sister. And so I wasn't concerned with it. I gave that symptom at that time almost no fear, no attention, just trusted it would resolve. And it did within about 10 days. So the brain always reserves the right to create a symptom if it perceives danger. It will turn on the alarm. How you respond to it with clarity, knowing what it is. And I did check in on the emotions. Of course, I was extremely upset that my mom had a stroke and was suffering greatly with the recovery. So you check in with the emotions. You remind yourself that you're okay. Give little fear or attention to a symptom, and it can go away reasonably quickly. So with that consistent message, those messages of safety and that I'm okay will go from the cognitive thinking conscious brain to the subconscious. And when it's accepted there, that's when the symptoms will subside. I must think psychologically at all times, not physical. That's his 12th reminder. And I'm going to adjust that. Yes, psychological, but I must think safety at all times, not physical. So that's my little tweak on that one. But it's pretty clear to me that much of this still applies. It really does. Just a couple minor things which, I'm explaining slightly differently. But again, I want to honor Dr. Sarno and his brilliant work because he has helped countless people, likely millions over the past several decades. And all I'm trying to do is simplify what Sarno really put out into the world. And a couple of reminders, you're not broken. Focus on safety. See if you can create that feeling of safety as opposed to perpetuating the danger. A lot of it is how we treat ourselves. It's how we respond to symptoms. It's shifting our attention to living our life and not fixing. Because we're not broken, there's nothing to fix. This is a teaching exercise. And if we can learn anything in life, we can learn this too. So you can get better. I don't know, if you want a full rundown on everything I'm teaching, I have daily videos on YouTube, link below. I have a book published in January, link below. I have a group coaching program where we focus on support and strategies and implementation, right? Solutions, not symptoms. So look at the links below. Go through some of those resources. But Sarno was right. He was the original guy. I owe my pain-free life as well as my profession helping others to Dr. Sarno. So hopefully you found this useful, and love you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.